Good Friday afternoon to you. 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Without question, Browns fans happy the Browns get a win against the Steelers, a much-needed win to improve to 2-1 on the young season. Let's head in the locker room and hear Kevin Stefanski right after the Browns defeated the Steelers.
Hey, how about that team win? Hell yeah! That's a team win. We stood in here, all right, and had a sour taste on our mouth Sunday, did we not?
Yes, sir.
And I asked you to respond. Offense, defense, special teams, all of it out there, picking each other up. That's what great teams do, guys. We pick each other up. But I am so proud of you for how you responded, okay? I asked you to own it, flush it. We did. I trust in the people in this room, and we're going to do it together, all right? Now, we got to be smart this weekend, right? You guys are off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You've earned it. You're not off Monday. You've earned it. You've earned it, but we got to be smart. Take care of each other. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
And with that, let's welcome in Scott Petrak, Browns beat reporter for the Elyria Chronicle Telegram. Can also check him out on brownzone.com. Scott, they just needed to get it, and they found a way to get it.
Yeah, and you can see the excitement out of Kevin Stefanski, right? He usually does not express that much emotion like he did at the start of that clip. And I think that just speaks to kind of the volatility of the last 5 days. That loss to the Jets that there was no excuse for. Could the Browns bounce back emotionally? You know, could they recover quickly enough and then do what it took on the field to get the job done? And they did. And I think that's impressive and necessary because, you know, this would be a much different situation if they were 1-2. And 2-1 feels a lot different. It is a lot different, and they're atop the AFC North, and they're 1-0 inside the division.
Yeah, and there are only there's 3 teams in the AFC that have 2 wins as we currently speak, and 2 of them play each other. So that's how jumbled up it is top the AFC. There's some injury news of note for the first time. First, we'll start with the good news. It's not believed that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Taven Bryant are long-term issues per sources. This is from Jeremy Fowler. Both doing better, and they'll monitor the progress. Chance they could be back week from Sunday against the Falcons. But this one is going to be costly. Anthony Walker is out for the season, a torn quad tendon. And it was not a great look. You knew it was serious when he went down. He was playing really well. He was probably the top-graded defender, Pro Football Focus, going up to that point, either he or Myles Garrett. That's how good he was playing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, he missed the start of training camp, and Jacob Phillips had been taking a bunch of reps with the starters, and I figured Phillips would just remain the starter for the season, but Walker was in there. And I thought he played really well, like you mentioned. He was flying around. You know, I remember the play he made on Christian McCaffrey in the backfield early in that opener, kind of set a tone. You know, he's a defensive captain. He's a team leader. Really good guy to be around. It's a devastating blow for him personally, and it's tough for the team. I mean, I think Jacob Phillips will step in and do well as long as he can stay healthy. That's been a big issue for him in his first 2 years in the league. But there's no doubt the Browns will miss Walker on the field and off the field.
Yep, without question. Kevin Stefanski talked about that. Walker's been the guy, the green dot guy. They call him the guy that's responsible for calling the signals. Here's Kevin Stefanski on replacing Anthony Walker.
It does give me the opportunity to talk about Jacob and how he played last night, which I thought he was outstanding. So Jacob would be our green dot moving forward. He does a nice job of communicating. You know, the 2 plays he made late in the game with the blitz and the sack and then the PBU were outstanding. And I was proud of Jacob because, you know, you wish you could put 12 guys out there for the defense. And we listed him as a starter with Anthony early because those guys, I really think they're both capable of starting. Now, with Anthony out likely, Jacob goes in there and we have a ton of confidence in him. And he plays like he plays last night. I think he can really affect the game.
And without question, and Scott, the cynic in me says, a couple of times they tried to put 12 guys on the field and it didn't end well. The referees frowned on that last night. Just kidding. But Phillips is a guy, he's intriguing. Different type of player than Anthony Walker, though.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, he's bigger. He's probably a little bit faster. the Browns, they really like him. And like I said, the issue has been injuries in his first couple of years. He was drafted in the 3rd round. I think the hope was that he'd be starting by now, and now he gets the chance to do that. It's interesting because, Kevin Stefanski there was praising him, and the quotes were similar to when Walker was named the starter for the regular season. Is that we would ask about Walker, and Stefanski would take the time to praise Jacob Phillips. So, I don't know if that's just keeping his confidence up or just expressing that, hey, we really have faith in you. It's just a tough spot. We got 2 really good guys. The Browns have been in Phillips' corner throughout. And, I think him and JOK, whenever JOK is healthy again, coming off that groin injury, they really give the Browns a pair of fast linebackers. And that's exactly what, coordinator Joe Woods and GM Andrew Berry have been looking for.
All right, this is also kind of interesting. This is from Hard Rock Sportsbook. So, best record following a loss since 2020. Chiefs perfect 7-0, or the Packers 7-0, Chiefs 5-1. Browns 3rd in the NFL, and this is since Kevin Stefanski took over at 11-3. And Scott, the reason that's important is in the NFL, 1 loss can become 2 losses, can become 3 losses pretty quickly and pretty easily. So that's a credit to Kevin Stefanski and the coaching staff to have stayed away from that.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It just shows you how few games the Chiefs and Packers lose, right? They got 6 and 7, and the Browns have 14. But, we talked about that a lot in 2020, right? Stefanski's first year, he was coach of the year. They go to the playoffs. And a lot of the discussion was they never lost 2 games in a row. And then it happened a couple of times last year. But I think that is it's a good point for a coach, right? It's a good mark on a coach's resume if you can get your guys to bounce back, because it is important. And if you never have a losing streak, even if it's only 2 games, if you never have that, right, you're going to be right around 500. And that gives you a shot as long as you can string a couple wins together at some point.
Absolutely. You stay around 500, you string 3 or 4 wins together, all of a sudden you're a playoff team. What are your takeaways from the game as you watch that? Some of the things you thought went really well, some of the things that concern you.
Yeah, I would start with Jacoby Brissette. You looked at that opener, and it was shaky, right? And then I think he's played really well the last 2 games. I mean, winning football, right? It wasn't his fault they lost that Jets game. And he played a big part. I know there's going to be a lot of focus on the run game, and I get it. But Jacoby Brissette made big throws, and I don't think the conditions were easy down on that lakefront. The wind was blowing, especially early. And I thought he fired the ball, a lot of zip on his throws. He's moved better the last 2 games. His footwork's been cleaner, and maybe that's just a comfort level in the offense. We saw what he could do on those quarterback sneaks, and those are huge, converting the 3rd and 4th and shorts. So he's my biggest takeaway. Then you get David Njoku, had a big game from a receiving perspective. He's been good blocking, but that was a big game for him from a receiving perspective. Amari Cooper had another 101-yard game with the touchdown. And then Nick Chubb runs the ball like Nick Chubb does, and they wore him down in the second half. And that, when you hear Mike Tomlin say, hey, we knew we had to stop him and we couldn't do it, that's a feather in the Browns' cap, right? Because they've been out-toughed and out-physicaled by the Steelers many times over the last couple of decades. And to turn the tables, I think is a big point. And then disappointing-wise, Cade York misses the extra point. It was tough conditions, but that's 2 extra points in 2 weeks for him. That's about it. Myles Garrett, no sacks, but the Steelers did a bunch to take him, try to limit his impact. But, from the Browns' perspective, you need to see him still get to the quarterback. But I didn't think there were a whole lot of negatives, especially with how they responded to that really impossible and not possible, but that really difficult loss to the Jets.
Yeah, the only way you can describe that was a 4th quarter collapse. We talked about this one a little bit. Amari Cooper, first Browns wide receiver with back-to-back 100-yard receiving games since Josh Gordon did it in 2013. And, I mean, when you think about this, it's a passing league, and if you don't have a guy that's catching the ball for 100 yards, probably not going to win a whole lot of games.
Yeah, that's interesting because, the Browns had OBJ. They had Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry had at least one, I think more than one Pro Bowl seasons here. So not to do that, I think just speaks to the overall passing game and probably quarterback play. When you look back, it's been, almost a decade. And then it points to Amari Cooper and what a strong move that was for Andrew Bayer to go get Cooper this offseason before the receiver market blew up. They're paying him $20 million, which is not exorbitant for a receiver. And he's a good guy to have around. Listen to him talk. He's smart. He's not he doesn't seem to have a huge ego. I think he fits in with this team. He fits in with Jacoby Brissette. So if they can continue to connect and he can have that kind of production, that's going to go a long way.
Agree wholeheartedly. That, and he got him for a 5th-round pick. So probably a Hall of Fame 5th-round pick right there, the one you traded for Amari Cooper. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the Browns game.
Hi, Dave. Howard from Marin County. Very, very, very happy to see the Browns win. I think the offense looks absolutely great. Jack Conklin, you can see how much he adds to everything. I also think that Martin Emerson is going to be a really good player. I am concerned about the defense, especially the defensive line. It seems like Miles has no one to help him, and therefore they don't have much of a pass rush. So they probably need to get another star, in the middle of the line, and that could really make the pass rush amazing. Great show, Dave. Happy here in California. Take care.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. I guess it is a concern, Scott, that I would have. And I realized they were moving Trubisky out and throwing short. But really, since Jadeveon Clowney went out with that ankle, they haven't gotten a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
They have not, and it really allows teams to devote almost all their attention to Myles Garrett. And it does show the importance of Jadeveon Clowney having that guy on the other side. Now, you assume Clowney will be back relatively soon, right? It's an ankle injury. They haven't put him on IR or anything. I don't know when that return will be. But at some point, you're going to need your young guys to step up. And that's Alex Wright, who played a bunch last night and got to start. Maybe it's Isaiah Thomas, who was active, and I don't think he played on defense. They thought Chase Winovich could provide some pass rush off the bench, and now he's on IR with a hamstring injury. So they're going to have to figure out a way. And until Clowney comes back, they might have to try to manufacture it somehow, whether that's blitzing JOK if he's healthy, blitzing Sione Takitaki, blitzing your nickelbacks, something to kind of create the pressure you need, because you can't let good quarterbacks sit back in the pocket. Eventually, they'll pick you apart.
And there are some really good ones not too far up the schedule in Herbert, Tom Brady, and the like. Scott Petrick and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we will continue talking Browns, Steelers. We'll head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
Maybe cliche, but there's no I in team. The only identity that matters is we. The collective effort to love thy neighbor is needed now more than ever. The responsibility behind pronouns such as I, me, and mine impact we, us, and ours. So understand that you make all the difference in the team. He, him, her, or she can't disturb our peace, since we control our destiny as student athletes. This is the power of pronouns.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Scott Petrak from the Elyria Chronicle Telegram as well as brownzone.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Dad from Youngstown. I'm really impressed by Stefanski last night because he stuck with the game plan. He called a great game. He had one call I didn't like, the 3rd and 1 he threw. We didn't convert, but overall, he called a great game. Defensively, we improved. Still work to be done there. But overall, I'm really impressed with the Browns, especially when you beat the Squealers, because I hate the Squealers in this area. We do not like the Squealers. We got a lot of Squealer fans around here, though. Don't get it twisted. But overall, I like the victory. Love the victory. Love what Stefanski and company did. And thanks for taking my call. Love the show.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Scott, Youngstown, so that's kind of the battleground there between Steelers and Browns fans. But I thought Kevin Stefanski called a really good game as well. There were a couple the screen where the razzle-dazzle screen play where he had the entire offensive line waiting to block. That's one block away from potentially being a long touchdown.
Yeah, that was an interesting play because they had a couple of deep guys. I think it was Schwartz and DPJ, if I'm right. And I figured Jacoby would look there, but it really was set up for the Hunt screen, and now maybe they can do stuff off of that and go deep. But yeah, I thought Stefanski called a really good game, and really, I think he has for the first 3 weeks. The clock management at the end of the Jets game can certainly be called into question. But besides that, I really feel like he's done a good job mixing the run and the pass, giving Jacoby Brissette good opportunities in the passing game. We saw play action yesterday, and Amari Cooper comes wide open on a deep cross. And those are the kind of things that Kevin Stefanski sets up with the run game and the play action. And I think he's really done a good job kind of meshing the two.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. This is kind of interesting as well. This is from Dan Murphy of the Browns. Browns have rushed for 572 yards. That's the most by any Browns team in the first 3 games since 1958. NFL was very different back in 1958. It has become much more of a passing league. There's the mild understatement there. But that gives you an idea of how well they're running the football.
Yeah, I mean, that's 190 yards a game, right? And, the Jets came in with a good run defense, at least after week 1. They did a good job against the Ravens. The Steelers, I know they've been struggling lately against the run, but traditionally are a strong run defending team. And the other part of that is, these teams are focused on stopping the run, and yet the Browns are able to still have success doing it. And sometimes it takes longer, and they need to wear down teams, which is why you need to hang around and not fall behind so you can stay committed to the run. And then it speaks to the offensive line. It speaks to Chubb and Hunt and the play calling and the tight ends blocking. So, yeah, it's really impressive. And, they did it yesterday. There were drives where they said, hey, we're just going to run the ball, if not exclusively, for play after play after play. And they were able to get it done when the Steelers knew they were going to try to do that. So, again, it goes back to that toughness and physicality that the Browns have not always been able to win that kind of matchup against a team like the Steelers.
The other thing that's happening, Jacoby Brissette is playing really well. Brissette talked post-game about just the win, how badly they needed it, and his play.
I thought it was a great team win. I think we obviously on offense started out slow, and then I think we settled in, and then we just started to get things going. And then we knew it was going to be a 60-minute football game. Obviously, they're a good team, great coaches, good players. So it was just about, it came back to us. And I think we did a good job of settling back in and then just making our routine plays.
Jacoby, do you think you've really answered a lot of people's questions about the way you played in these first 3 games? Because fans didn't really know much about you until now.
I'm not in this to answer anybody's questions. I'm in here to play good football, play for my teammates, and enjoy this moment. And that's what it really is all about. And I can look those guys in their faces and tell them I'm giving them my best. And that's what I look forward to.
Jacoby, can you describe the emotion, the feeling on the sneak when you got up and you pumped your fist and, the crowd kind of went wild?
I was thinking about that on the sideline because I've never been able to do that in a game. And every time I see a quarterback do that in the game, I'm like, dang, that's so sick. I want to do that one time. And And I told myself if I get to sneak, I'm doing it. And I almost blacked out. The flow of the game and just being excited and letting my emotions show and not holding things in and just being present.
Scott, it really seems like Kevin Stefanski and Jacoby Brissette have kind of come to understand what they need to do to be successful. I think if you look Panthers game to Steelers game, you can kind of see the difference there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think part of that was, Jacoby said he was emotional for that opening game, and I think that affected him. I think there's now a greater comfort level with him and what Kevin Stefanski wants as a play caller and out of his system. And I think that's why Jacoby Brissette looks quicker and his footwork looks better. And I just love the way he answers questions, And it's not that the Browns fans didn't know Jacoby Brissette. It's that they knew him as a backup. And that's how he's been pigeonholed. And it's not just Browns fans. It's across the league, right? He's a journeyman backup, a bridge kind of quarterback. And that's how the Browns view him because they have Deshaun Watson coming back. But yet Brissette doesn't consider himself that. And I talked to him before the season. He was so excited about having the opportunity to start again. And it's obvious. And he's embraced the moment. He sees the moment. And he's playing much better than I think I expected and a lot of people expected. And he's playing winning football. And, who knows? It's about consistency, right? Can he continue to do it? Can he continue to do it when you ask him to throw 30 times a game? But just the last two games have been really impressive. And it's the way he's doing it, the way he's thinking, the way he's throwing. And I think it's exciting because I think it gives the Browns a chance to win probably more games than I thought when the season began.
Yeah. I mean, he has not been anything but a positive as far as wins go in the first three games, without question. Take a look at this. So this Jacoby Brissette PFF grade, 92.5 against the Steelers, top 10 in EPA per play and a bunch of other success rates. What that's telling you is he is playing like a starting quarterback among the top third in the league.
Yeah, I don't know what all those initials mean, but
they're good.
But yeah, I mean, he's making good decisions, and that's the key, right? I mean, you knew he was kind of a game manager, and the touchdown interception ratio has been great throughout his career. So if you make good decisions, you give your team a chance. But then on top of that, if you make enough good throws, then that chance of victory really increases. And he made a bunch of good throws against the Jets. He made a bunch of good throws last night. He made 2 good throws in the winning drive against the Panthers. So, I think that's a good combination. You add in the sneaks. You add in the ability to scramble just enough. When plays break down, he made a couple of plays against the Jets with his legs as a scrambler. And all that is, winning football. I keep coming back to that. But when you have what you think is a pretty good defense, when you have the running games that the Browns have, that's what you need from your quarterback.
Yeah, without question. And the only turnover came when he was trying to get him into field goal range. He forced it in. He got picked on the last, in essence, the last play of the loss to the Jets. So he's taking care of the ball and he's making plays when asked to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, that play, the Jets dropped 10 in coverage, right? I mean, I thought it was a good throw. I thought it was a good read. The safety made a really good play on the ball. So, there's not a whole lot of knocks I can make on Brissette since those couple of missed throws early in that Carolina game, right? He missed Cooper down the right and Hunt down the left. Since then, I thought he's played really well.
Scott Petrak, as always, thanks so much for the time and the insight. Appreciate it very much, Scott.
Thanks, Steve.
Scott Petrak. Make sure you read them. Pages of the Elyria Chronicle Telegram. You can also check them out online, brownzone.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we continue talking Browns. Jeff Risdon from brownswire.com straight ahead. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
Sports for CLE continues, and we continue talking Browns. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the Browns' win over the Steelers.
Dave, I would like to start out by saying congratulations to the Cleveland Browns for getting the job done and getting the victory last night. I now would like to congratulate someone I've been very critical of, and that is Kevin Stefanski. Great job play calling last night, and this is with an excellent backup quarterback in Brissette, who also needs high praise. He has positively surprised all of us. Great job by Amari Cooper and tight end Njoku. Last and most importantly, high praise again to the offensive line, and a shout out to Cleveland management. Do what it needs to be done to give Kareem Hunt a 3-year extension so the best dual running backs in the NFL and Chubb and Hunt can stay together, especially with Deshaun Watson entering the picture.
All right, and as always, we appreciate all the voicemails. Let's welcome in Jeff Risdon from BrownsWire.com. Jeff, I got to agree, the play calling was really good. There seems to be a developing chemistry with Kevin Stefanski and Jacoby Brissette.
Yeah, and I think you saw on Thursday night exactly what that meshing point is. I think Stefanski is getting more and more comfortable with what Brissette does well, and I think Brissette, he was sharp, man. The quick throws, getting the ball out, being decisive with it. He's got a very good arm. I think we saw that. And picking his spots, that's something that I think Stefanski and the route trees that they're running are open a little bit more complementary to what Brissette does well, which is gun the ball in. The touchdown pass to Njoku, my goodness, that was something else. And that's not a play that comes without some trust from Brissette that 85 is going to go up and get that ball. So I was very pleased with the overall, the mix between the runs and the passes, the creativity, the screen pass where the offensive line entirely reset on the outside of the formation. That was those are little wrinkles that you can't do all the time unless you have a lot of faith in your quarterback. And I thought Brissette and the comfort level again between Brissette and Cooper being a number one receiver with Njoku stepping up last night, and how well Stefanski dialed up the plays and to make that work. It was very nice to see. It was a very welcome change from the grumbling that we've had up Stefanski. Some of it's well-founded, some of it's a little overboard, but I think after last night, I think we're feeling pretty good about what Stefanski called up.
Take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. It's from ESPN Stats and Info. Including interims, Kevin Stefanski is the Browns' 12th head coach since the franchise returned in 1999. That alone is a little head-scratching. But he's also the first of the 12 to beat the Steelers 3 times. It obviously includes playoffs. Keep in mind, they play the Steelers twice every year. That tells you how big of the struggles they've had against the Steelers and how big of a win, whenever it is, against the Steelers is for the Browns.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the worst Steelers team we've seen this century, and I don't say that lightly. But that's not a good football team, and I'm proud of the Browns for handling business and taking care of it. Yeah, man, there was a lot of years. I go back. The game that I never forget is the game that Charlie Fry started and Derek Anderson finished. That was about the low point of Browns fandom right there, where it was just like, are we a real NFL team? And we've advanced so far from beyond that. It's nice, and I'm happy that Stefanski got the 3rd win there because there they've had some solid coaches. They've had some not so good coaches. I'm happy with where Stefanski's at now. Give me more of this, please.
All right, takeaways from last night's game. When you look at it, some things, give me a couple things you like, a couple things that concern you.
You know, I thought Brissette was incredible. His ability to, again, I talked about it a little bit earlier, his command of the offense and his understanding of how to attack the Steelers' defense. I thought that was very smart. When he's a guy that gets the ball out quickly and decisively, he's a pretty good quarterback. The fans in Miami and Indianapolis and New England will all tell you that. It's when he doesn't make that first read or when he's a little bit indecisive and taps the ball a little bit before he throws it. You saw that. David Njoku's usage and the interplay in how well Njoku is adapting to having a legit number one wide receiver in Amari Cooper. And by the way, the Dallas fans last night, watching them lament the loss of Amari Cooper with the offenses they've got right now was kind of fun. Not that we hate Dallas, but it's always nice to see Dallas fans suffer a little bit. And watching Amari Cooper become a legit number one wide receiver, he had the one gaffe where he ran out of bounds and came back in. That can't happen. I thought he explained it very nicely after the game, and took his culpability on that. But man, the dynamic ability that he has and what it's doing for Njoku over the middle, and the fact that Brissette is finding either of them and finding the better option between them both of the time, that's a lot of fun to watch. Negatives, Denzel Ward. Look, he probably graded out very well from Pro Football Focus, and he got the touchdown at the end. I don't think he played a very good game, and that's a little bit more concerning. There were some openings that I thought Mitch Trubisky wasn't good enough to attack as a Steelers quarterback. I thought he had some chances that he could have taken that could have exploited the Browns defense a little bit better. More of what we saw from Joe Flacco in the second half of the Jets debacle. The downfield coverage is still not there. Now, last night, I thought the quality of the opponent factored into it. The offensive line from Pittsburgh isn't very good. And that's the other one. And Dave, you and I talked about this a little bit off the air. Myles Garrett's got made a little bit more of a splash than what he did last night. I think he had 2 tackles, didn't get a sack. I know he was the focal point of the Steelers blocking, and they did a very good job of taking him out. But if you're 95 and you're the guy that he wants to be, if he wants to be the defensive MVP player of the year, that type, he's got to do a little bit more than what he did last night. He was okay. He wasn't a problem. But I want a little bit more impact from 95 against that offensive line.
Yeah, the pressure just wasn't there, and I get it. They were running quicker routes, and they weren't holding on to the ball because they wanted Trubisky to get rid of it. But that can't – you got to get some pressure on a quarterback if you're going to do the things that the Browns want to do. We've talked about this, and take a look. Amari Cooper, 11 targets, 7 receptions, 101 yards, and a TD. The first time Amari Cooper's had back-to-back 100-plus yard games since week 5 and 6 when he was with the Raiders. And again, he's only in his – he probably would have had more yards receiving against Panthers had he not gotten interfered with on a couple of deep balls as well. But he has adapted and become what the Browns were hoping he would be pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you're seeing the impact of having a true number one wide receiver, the craftsmanship that he has. Again, he did have the one play where he ran out of bounds, but in general, his route releases, he's putting guys in blenders, man, and it's fun to watch. The production, the consistency with which he does things. You know, we saw that with Jarvis Landry before he started getting banged up quite a bit. And that professionalism, that attention to detail, again, other than the one play, was phenomenal, and it's showing up every play, and it's making the guys around him better. And by the way, it's making my fantasy team pretty good. I got some grief for drafting Amari a little bit earlier than what was expected from the thing. I want to say that he's a top 5 fantasy wide receiver right now, and I'll take that.
All right, let's listen to Jacoby Brissett talking about what he has seen from Amari Cooper and the chemistry those two are developing.
Play really well. I mean, even in the first game, he was just getting PI'd the whole time. And I mean, that's just who he is. You know, he's a great player, a great teammate, a guy that's going to give you his all. You know, and you just see what things that he's doing, obviously in the pass game, but in the run game, guys have to. I mean, he's holding his own, and you don't see that a lot from a lot of number one receivers. And you know, and I'm sure he's just going to want to continue to get better and better and better. I mean, even on the long pass on that big third down, he was like, man, I need to find a way to stay up and go score. And that's just the type of player he is. And it's obviously a treat to have him on this team, and I'm looking forward to just continue to grow with him.
And, Jeff, I've said he's kind of like the Nick Chubb of wide receivers, and Cooper kind of reinforces that by, he's a willing blocker. Doesn't mean he's always going to be able to block who you want him to, but he's going to go in there and try to mix it up a little bit.
He is, and I like Nick Chubb. He's kind of a quiet personality. He's not a dominating presence like some other guys that we've had in Cleveland. He just goes about and does his business and does it professionally and does it quietly, and it's a good fit for what the team is. By the way, that shirt that Jacoby Brissette was wearing there, that I need that. That's all kinds of awesome.
Teller and Batonio, he's a smart man. The guys that are protecting you, put them on the shirt and make sure you pub them. All right, Jeff Reisland and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we'll take a look at Nick Chubb. Just continues to be the best running back in the NFL. We'll show you some stats that back that up. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to Go Forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Jeff Reisland from BrownsWire.com. This is from Next Gen Stats. Take a look at this. This will tell you all you need to know about Nick Chubb. He gained 113 of his 115 rushing yards after contact in Week 3. It's the second game with 100 yards gained after contact. To put that in perspective, Nick Chubb now has 2 100-yard after contact games in 2022. The rest of the NFL also has 2. And you see a little bit of a chart. He's doing a lot of it between the tackles. Jeff, with the usage that the Browns are now giving him, the carries are increasing. People are going to start seeing more and more why Cleveland fans feel he's the best running back in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely. And there was a play last night where he got hit behind the line and was going to lose 4 or 5 yards, and he turned it into a 1-yard gain. Those are the little hidden yardage that they didn't lose. It makes him so dynamic. And the run chart there, you see he's following his blocking well. The thing that I love is that he can get through and trust that initial blocking, and that first tackler that comes in, the linebacker or the safety, whoever it is, he's not going down on that first contact. And that's so critical for what this offense is trying to do. The results speak for themselves. He had a phenomenal night again. The fact that he's not winning the FedEx Ground Player of the Week every week is starting to get a little frustrating, because he's as good as anybody. I'm not going to say I won't put up arguments against some other guys, because I think there's some pretty good running backs in this league. But if you're putting anybody above Nick Chubb, you're going to have to explain yourself pretty well right now.
Well, let's put it in context as far as historically goes among the Browns. So through 3 games, he has the 3rd most rushing yards of any Cleveland Brown. Now, the first 2 were a guy named Jim Brown. Brown had 489 in 1963, 482 in 1958. Nick Chubb has 341 this year. 63 and 58 were a little bit of a different era in terms of running the football in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. That was the era where you didn't throw often, and it wasn't uncommon for a wide receiver to lead the team with 40 receptions. I think Dante Lavelli, who's a little before that, had a season where he led the Browns with 33 receptions. So you're getting back into the time where it was ground and pound, and that was all about it. And you were facing 8-man boxes. There wasn't such a thing as a nickel corner or a slot receiver back then. The ability to mix it up in a primary passing league now for Chubb to be doing what he's doing. He is kind of a throwback running back. He doesn't necessarily remind me of Jim Brown, who was a little before my time. But, guys like Franco Harris to bring up with the Steelers, or John Riggins, but he's faster and much more nimble of foot than those guys were, guys who attack between the tackles. He's got that blend, man, and it's working so well. It's so much fun to watch him. And the fact that he's humble about it and isn't a guy who's, shoving the ball in the opponent's faces after every run when he could. He deserves to do that, but he doesn't do it. And to me, I just appreciate Nick Chubb so much, man. It's great that he's in Cleveland.
All right, let's take a look at the top 3 graded offensive and defensive players according to Pro Football Focus. Jack Duffin tweets this out. The offense top 3: Jacoby Brissette, David Njoku, Wyatt Teller. Myles Garrett grades out very high, top-ranked defensive player. You see Fields played only one snap. It was a good snap. Sione Takitaki, Greg Newsome. And when you look at that, the Browns, it looked like Anthony Walker's injury was pretty significant. So Takitaki, as well as Tony Fields, they're going to need some guys to step up and give them some quality snaps at the linebacker position.
Yeah, and you don't really know what's going on with JOK either with the groin injury that he suffered. It's like the fact that Taki came in and played well. Tony Fields, I wanted to see a little bit more of that. The one rep was great. And it's interesting that Myles Garrett was the top-rated defender. And again, it goes to the fact he didn't really do anything poorly. I thought he set the table against the run very well and handled the double teams. But I wanted a little bit more splash play from him. I wanted a little bit more wins. One of the things that Pro Football Focus does, if you're not familiar with their grading, they weigh wins and losses on snaps pretty heavily. And if you never lose any, your grade doesn't go down. So I think that's what helped. What helped both Teller and Garrett last night, because I think Wyatt Teller was another one. I don't think he had his best game last night, but I think he had a solid game that didn't have any real losses. And look, again, that's how you win. That's winning football, not losing on reps. So it goes in line with it. And again, Taki, a guy that we've kind of forgotten about. It's sort of been lost in the shuffle with all the running backs, with Jacob Phillips playing well, and with the other guys coming in. Thought he provided some really solid reps last night in a spot where the Browns definitely needed them.
Let's take a look at this tweet. This is from StatCenter. It involves tight end David Njoku. So Njoku caught his 16th touchdown pass for the Browns, and that moved him into second place, tied him with Milt Morin, behind Ozzie Newsome. So, and David Njoku has a lot of time left, and I would expect him to move up and challenge Ozzie Newsome by the time it's all said and done, because he's going to be a focal point.
Absolutely, and we saw it last night. The fact that he can they threw 3 passes in a row to him. That hasn't happened before. I think Jacoby Brissette understanding just how much of a mismatch he is, especially against a team like the Steelers, that they're a speed-based linebacking team, so they can't handle the power that the Chief brings out there. It was really nice to see that. It's going to take a few years for him to catch Ozzie, but again, he's a young man, like you said. He's going to be in Cleveland for a long time. He's got a chance to send that list. It's going to take him a couple of years, but he's going to close that gap pretty quickly, I think. And we all remember Ozzie, those of us from the certain age who grew up in the 70s and 80s watching Ozzie be the wizard that he was. Njoku, man, he's got the potential to catch that. That says a lot about why the Browns kept him and why they have faith in him and why you're seeing him emerging. My goodness, last night was as good of a game as he's played, and the arrow's definitely pointing up for that.
Jeff Risdon, as always, thanks for the time and the insight. Appreciate it very much. Thanks, Jeff.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right, Jeff Risdon, make sure you check him out, brownswire.com. We're going to take a timeout, step aside, other side of the break. Lance Reisland joins us. We're taking a look at Donovan Peoples-Jones in the film breakdown session. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
Sports4CLE continues. We continue talking Browns. We're going to shift our focus to third-year wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland. Former coach does our film breakdown here. And Lance, when you were out at camp and what you've seen early in the season, what do you see when you look at Donovan Peoples-Jones? You know, a late-round pick who's probably already exceeded expectations for a guy taken in the 6th round.
Well, the first thing you see when you're in person, he's such a big guy. He's a tall, long, very well put together guy. He's really enjoyed watching him practice. His attention to detail. He's he bends very well. The things we've talked about with other receivers, Amari Cooper before last couple of weeks, he does the same thing. He bends very well. He's got great hip mobility. I just think he's got a tremendous upside that has not even been his potential hasn't been reached yet, not even close.
And the other thing is at least early on, it looks like he's got a little bit of some chemistry developed with Jacoby Brissette, which the Browns can certainly take advantage of. You saw a lot of contested catches, particularly in that opener against the Panthers that he made.
Well, yeah, I think for me as a receiver, when I coach my receivers or have my coaches coach the receivers, there's 3 things we're looking for. We're looking for the ability to get off, so before the catch, the actual catch, and then after the catch. And I think the second part, the actual catch, the contested catch, is what he's best at for sure.
All right, let's take a look at some video to go along with what we're going to talk about. This one is against man coverage, and he gets inside the slant route, and that's pretty good quarterback, Martin Emerson, the rookie there. What do you see when you look at that gets him where he wants to be, which is inside on that slant route?
Well, he knows he's going inside, so the thing I like, and for a big guy, this is really, really impressive, but this is learning from Amari Cooper, I think, and having being in the same film room and same team room with him, same position room with Amari Cooper. He works outside with his left foot, so he's going to attack the right leg and the right hip of Martin Emerson. He's going to get Martin Emerson to lead towards the sideline. So he's almost going to get his chest to the sideline, and once he does that, he's able to get to where he wants to, which is inside. So he puts that left foot in the ground and gets inside, and then he has really good acceleration. And again, the catch point is where I think he's best at.
And again, once he gets inside, an NFL quarterback is going, man, we got that one. And with a big guy, you're looking, that's you get him that ball in stride, and he can do some things with it after the catch as well.
Yeah, he's got tremendous game speed, and he's big. Like you said, he's almost got a tight end build. When you see him in person, he is extremely big. That was the first thing that hit me. He catches the ball very well, does a lot of things, but his size. So yeah, when he gets inside, he presents he becomes very quarterback friendly with that size.
Let's take a look at this. This is one of the areas that we talked a little bit about, is the contested catch area. Again, the coverage is kind of there, but does a really nice job of using that big body to the quarterback's advantage here.
Yeah, at times, the before catch, so the first part, he doesn't always create the best separation, being a big, tall guy. So sometimes he doesn't have that twitchy, sudden speed where he creates separation, but he doesn't need as much separation as some receivers because of his ability to catch the ball at the catch point. So yeah, he does a really good job. He weaves in here. He gets a little bit of a post stem right at the end, kind of right there, and it kind of gets that defensive back leaning backwards. And for DPJ, that's really all he needs is just a small window, because he's going to win those contested catch. And if you look at the end of the catch, it's almost like playing basketball. He's a big power forward boxing out that smaller DP, and very quarterback friendly, very easy to catch.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting. So we've talked about it a couple of times, being quarterback friendly. That means you're giving him a big target. Here's another look at some game action where, again, big target and a nice job of giving the quarterback an area to drop the ball into.
Well, again, the thing I like about, we always call it run the red line. So he's going to run. He's going to give the quarterback an opportunity to throw him to the sideline. He's not going to run to the sideline. And one of the things his size does is it allows him to get vertical without being nudged over by the defensive back, because he's so big and strong. So he gets off the line of scrimmage, very good release, and then he gets vertical. And then you can see the ball takes him to the sideline. And again, he's got a huge wingspan. He's got a big catch radius, and it makes this throw very, very easy for the quarterback.
And when you're coaching a wide receiver, that's kind of, take me through what the coaching point is as far as where that receiver is running his route relative to the sideline, particularly in a route like that.
Everybody's different, but usually the five yards is kind of the general rule of thumb. You don't want to run any of your routes, especially vertical routes, past 5 yards from the line from the sideline. You want to give that quarterback the ability to, if that defensive back's in good transition there, you want to give that quarterback the ability to throw you open. So usually that 5 yard window from the sideline is the general rule of thumb, especially on the vertical routes.
All right. The other thing, so big target. And what that means is inside the 20 in that red zone, this is a guy that quarterbacks like. And what do you see with him in this red zone area?
Well, this is a catch and run he has. He's a big body, catches the ball, and he's just too big for this defensive back. And he's gonna get in the end zone here, kind of catch his speed out, which is really good speed out by him. He bends his hips, that hip mobility we talk about all the time. So he bends his hips, he sits on the route, he makes a very easy throw for the quarterback, and then he's going to explode into the end zone. Again, with his size, though, the one-step fades, the ability to go get the ball in the corner routes, he presents a lot of issues for a defensive back inside the red zone.
So when you look at what you've seen from him, and he came in as a 6th-round pick and played pretty well as a rookie. Last year, he was kind of thrown into that number 1 role with Beckham, and Beckham leaving midseason, Landry, and might not have been ready for it, but it looks like he's picked back up to kind of ascend again this year. What do you see when you look at where he's kind of developed?
Well, I think he has physical tools. He has all the tools to be a number 1 receiver. He's long, he's fast, he's got great catch radius. He can run all the routes from inside and out. Now he's got Amari Cooper, who is going to take some of the pressure off him. In week 1 against the Panthers, he had 6 catches, but they went to him 11 times, 11 targets. So he has that ability, and I'm interested to see now that Amari had a big game in week 2. Now they should start working together and complementing each other as the 1 and 2 receiver, which is also going to allow those 3rd and 4th receivers to kind of grow as well. But I see with his talent, his physical talent tells me he can be a number 1 receiver. It's just a matter of progressing and getting on track with those quarterbacks.
Lance Reisland, as always, thanks so much for the time and the insight. Appreciate it very much. Thanks very much, Lance.
Thanks for having me, as always.
All right, Lance Reisland with the film breakdown of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Make sure you check him out, cleveland.com, as well as the Plain Dealer, more film breakdowns from former coach Lance Reisland. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout, other side of the break. It is our shining star, Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
Sports4CLE continues. Each week, in conjunction with the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program, we recognize role model students from all across the state of Ohio. This week, we head to Aurora High School. Matt Geyer has waited his turn to be the quarterback for the Aurora Greenmen. He's taken advantage of it. Matt is also outstanding in the classroom. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is proud to salute Aurora High School's Matt Geyer, this week's Shining Star. If it seems like senior Matt Geyer is having a blast on the football field in this his senior season, it's with good reason. Geyer patiently waited his turn to be Aurora's starting quarterback and is making the most of his opportunity.
To finally get my chance is amazing. I've been all my life I've been going to the games and stuff like that, and finally getting on the field is amazing. It's all I can ever ask for, to be honest. To continue the history here is amazing. Just to being part of that, it's nice. Just having the town behind your back and everything, it's nice to have.
Alex Moore, who's played for us the last 3 years, was one of the best quarterbacks we've had in history here, but he was a drop-back passer. He wasn't the prototypical Aurora quarterback. So we had to change our offense for that kind of talent. You're right, Matt Geyer is a prototypical Aurora quarterback who can run and throw, and we love that because it gives you the extra guy advantage, when the quarterback's running the football.
Geyer is definitely the dual threat kind of quarterback that seems to be the staple of the Aurora program, but even more importantly than his athleticism is his poise and intelligence. Geyer seems to understand what he needs to do for Aurora to win.
Have success, do what the team needs, do my job to help everyone around me. Just improve every single day. Every practice matters. Seeing improvement is the main thing.
Very poised. He's not a big talker. He's getting more and more with that. Okay, but he's a kid who leads by example. And we always say, if one of your best kids work the hardest, you're in good shape. And he's one of our hardest workers. And when one of your better players, your quarterback leader, is gonna work harder than anybody else on the team, everybody else better get behind him and do the same thing.
That work ethic on the football field also translates into the classroom. His work rehabbing a football injury may have helped Matt find his career path. He carries nearly a 3.5 GPA and has always made academics a priority.
They're very important. It starts there first. You're a student athlete, so your academics really come on the field too. Health, stuff like that, like working with the body, just because when I hurt my knee and stuff like that, I like the process of physical therapy and stuff like that, so I might want to pursue that.
Oh, just super kid. Probably doesn't have as much confidence as he should, as athletic as he is. But, a kid that probably would have played last year at a lot of other places as a junior, but realized he was behind a good kid and just bided his time and kept working hard.
If you know a student who deserves recognition, we want to hear about them, and you can nominate them completely online. Go to ohiolottery.com. Find the About section. Click on Partners in Education.
There you will see links to nomination forms. Nominate that student as an academic all-star, and they could end up being featured as our next shining star.
And that is going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. Enjoy the weekend. No Browns game. We will be back Monday talking Browns as they get ready for the Atlanta Falcons trying to go to 3-1. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday at 4 on Sports for CLE.